Just by way of introduction to this, guys, for those of you who weren't around, maybe when we conducted the field work on this, this is the third time that we've done this type of survey. So it's 3 years on. The response this time around, as Una said, it was just phenomenal. We had 470 people responded. In previous years, we've had probably an average of about 150. And, there just seemed to be a bigger interest in participation this time around. We had the same incentive, which is very nominal. But the response is, really encouraging from our point of view, but it gives us a much more comprehensive picture in terms of where people are at, what their sentiment is in relation to freelancing, what the challenges that they believe they're facing, but also helping us to determine where we need to focus our efforts to help you guys as well. So it's been really useful from that point of view. The one thing I'd say is that when we looked at the results for this year versus previous years, there's a natural distortion because the base has changed. It's much broader than it was. It was largely focused on, I suppose, advertising creative people in terms of the responses in previous years, whereas this year it's much broader based across the whole range of marketing services. So I think it gives a much more robust picture as to what's going on in people's heads around freelancing, particularly in the sector that you're all involved in. So let me just kick off just to build on some of the profile information that Una showed you in relation to our base. So this is based on the survey itself. So the average age of people participating, and we can see it certainly reflected in our own base, is that the average age has come down. So not a huge amount. The average was 46 years of age in the last survey. This year it's 39. But if you look at a breakdown by age cohort, about 1/3 are under 35. There's another 1/3 between 35 and 44, and then a third roughly in the 45 plus age group, but averaging out, as I say, at 39. And then in terms of the male-female ratio, what we're seeing is that certainly more females have signed up with the indie list in the last year, and that's definitely reflected in the profile of respondents. So we're seeing more and more women who are participating in the freelance workforce getting involved and signing up to the indie list, but also participating in this type of survey. And we don't think it's certainly fully reflective yet of kind of an unmeasured element of female participation at the freelance talent end. In terms of the time spent freelancing, so Una showed you a figure of 14 years plus in terms of being in business, but this is the number of years on average that people have spent freelancing. So an average of 6 years. And you can see in the box there that 15% of the community have been freelancing for over 10 years. And I know the term freelancing is a kind of an all-embracing one, and we'll touch on that as we go through the presentation, but it's a kind of a catch-all because some people describe themselves differently, particularly as a consultant. In terms of gross yearly earnings, now, this is not through the indie list. This is what people have told us that they are earning on average across all of their freelance enterprises in an average year. And this figure has also gone up, but I think this is definitely a function of a much broader base of freelancers participating in the survey. So it's gone up on average by 12%, but I don't think people individually can say that their earnings have gone up by 12% in the last 12 months. I'd be really surprised if that's the case. But nonetheless, it's an encouraging figure from our point of view if we look at it as an average across the 470 people who participated in the survey. And you can see again, based on the smaller detail on the box, that there's nearly half of people saying that they're earning over 70K per annum gross in terms of earnings from freelance work. And that is also encouraging because it's a substantial increase on the last number that we had. As I say, people describe themselves differently, and it's very, very difficult, no matter what market we look at and people that we talk to in other markets, to get a pretty good definition as to what the freelance market represents. And we asked people in the survey to describe themselves under a number of different headings. So 60% of respondents said that they're full-time freelancers. This is what they've chosen to do. This is where they're going to concentrate their efforts. They do nothing else except freelance or consult. And that's the bulk of the people who are involved in the indie list. 18% describe themselves as industry consultants. So they could be marketing consultants, e-commerce consultants, content strategists, or whatever. They don't necessarily call themselves freelancers. And as I say, we know that there's baggage attached to the freelance tag, and we fully accept that. But it is I suppose, a simplistic way of describing the audience that we represent. There's also, and this is the one that's really hard to measure because, we know there's lots of companies like Uber and the food delivery companies who are dependent on what they call giggers. Within the marketing services area, it seems that there's about 20% of people who are side gigging. So they have a full-time job, they're doing side gigging to make ends meet to a large extent, or to get some supplementary income. And that's to be encouraged, obviously, as well. But it is another quite large part of the freelance consultancy market as well. Within the full-time freelancers, back to our figures, about 21% of our base have told us when they sign up that they are also open to full-time work, or would consider an offer for full-time work. Here, about 18%. So it's not a million miles away from our total base, but it's an indication nonetheless that there's about 1 in 5 of you who are interested in going back into full-time work or considering full-time work if the conditions and the job is attractive enough. And within the side gigger base, by the way, there's about 2% of students who are also side gigging as well. And what we're seeing and hearing from some of the universities is that there's a big interest, particularly in the area of social media and digital media, of students wanting to participate in that, again, as another earner to help them fund college fees and accommodation and so on. So we asked people where they got the work from last year, and no great surprise, most of you are getting work from direct clients, both new direct clients and existing direct clients. So there is naturally an overlap across all of these figures I'm going to show you here. The next biggest is ad agencies and PR agencies. So the ad agency figure hasn't changed that much year on year, but the ones that have really grown are PR agencies, design agencies, and digital web agencies. So they have all increased quite a bit. And certainly what we're seeing and hearing from the broader mix of agencies that we're now working with is that everybody is competing for certain types of projects. And as a result of that, need to bring in freelance or consultant people from time to time just to help them with that, because sometimes the agencies that are not ad agencies don't necessarily have these people on their books. So we believe that's a real big opportunity for people like yourselves who have those skills that can offer them beyond ad agencies themselves. So again, one to maybe watch. In terms of the indie list, we know we're not the first and only place in town where people get work. For some people we are, but roughly 20% of people said that they've got work through the indie list in the last 12 months. Other freelance platforms, like there's lots of them, as you know, out there, everything from Upwork to Fiverr and so on. About 16% of people said that they've got some work on some of those international platforms. Hard to quantify, but nonetheless, they are operating in the Irish market as well. And then other freelancers, because, again, that mantra of hunting in packs, people working together and collaborating, certainly it's going on, and people, other freelancers bringing in friends or colleagues or people they know can deliver particular skills is also on the rise compared to previously. The reason why people are freelancing, probably no great surprise. Look, we're talking to the converted here. For most people, it's still very much about flexibility and independence, because that generally is what freelancing allows you to do, and it's fitting work into your life rather than life into your work. So there are other reasons as well. So the flexibility and independence thing, 82%, very much up there. But when you roll in things like opportunity to work on interesting challenges, interesting clients, interesting colleagues, they're all in the 70% plus range of reasons why people have chosen freelancing. And then on top of that, looking at things like more attractive career opportunity, I'm not sure if it is for everyone, but certainly the people who are experiencing it and who are doing it for a number of years said, this is the way I want to go. This is a way for me to achieve my financial goals. Now, the financial goals figure has actually increased, which we're surprised about, because we know payments and so on and rates are under pressure. But nonetheless, people still feel that they can use freelancing to supplement or be their main source of income. So just to go on in terms of personal sentiment around freelancing, because this was done last November, and everybody was hearing the negative news around the cost of living increases, all the negative news coming out of Ukraine and the Russian war and so on, and all of the cost increases attached to all of those things as well. Thankfully, the personal sentiment of freelancers has gone again, pretty positive at one end of the spectrum. So 73% say that they're glad that they're freelancing. 70% are saying they've been busy for most of the year. And then when you look at the other side of the scale, 56% of people, so over 50% of people, when you take those three factors, are saying that they're finding it harder to gain work, they're finding it harder to get paid on time, and they're not as busy as previously. Now, we had a look at this, myself and Una had a look at it and said, is there a contradiction between people saying that they're busy for most of the year, but then they're not as busy as previously? And I don't think there is, because people could be busy, but relative to other years, they could also say they're not as busy as before. And also can say that they're finding it harder to gain work, because there is definitely much more competition in the market. There's much more willingness from agencies not to give out work as they did in the past, even though there's a broader mix of agencies now doing that. And also clients have probably been more cautious around taking in what they would regard as unnecessary cost, which we would argue against. So there is, on the face of it, looking at this chart, a bit of contradiction going on, but you can rationalize it on the basis of maybe people's individual experiences. And when we looked at some of the quotes that we got back, money worries definitely prevail within the freelance market. And I don't think these have changed. If anything, they may have got worse in the last couple of weeks. So again, verbatim quotes here: I struggle with knowing how much to charge clients. It's a constant thing that we hear. We will advise people insofar as we can. We published rates, I think, doing it back in August, September, in terms of average rates across categories. And we'll do so again, maybe in the next one of these lunchtime sessions. But we will guide people insofar as we can around rates. But ultimately, it's up to every freelancer to decide what they should or what they need to charge. Other comments there about, finding more clients I'm finding more clients are looking for deals on rates. Everybody's eating everybody else's lunch. Look, to be honest, some of these comments are no different from when Una and I started up the indie list. We get them on a regular basis, and people are still experiencing them. Other frustrations, if you like, that people have: I struggle with knowing how to charge clients. There's little transparency. Again, very, very difficult. Clients don't tell you, obviously, in all cases, what they're looking to pay. They naturally want a lowball in most cases. And again, we will guide you insofar as we possibly can. There's definitely more competition, more pressure on daily rates, as this respondent said. And also, I think, again, that kind of lack of appreciation between the difference of, as it says there, a talented and experienced freelancer versus somebody who maybe has just come into the market. And that's not to denigrate people who've just decided to go freelancing, or maybe you're only a year or two into it. They maybe have a different skill set that makes them more valuable. But nonetheless, part of our job with clients is really to educate them on that kind of value equation, not to judge everybody on the basis, or anybody on the basis, of their kind of daily rate versus somebody else's daily rate. The other thing that we'd say, and we always say as well, is that, look, freelancing is not for the faint-hearted. There are lots of challenges. And again, it's coming through some of the feedback that we're getting in this survey. So the constant kind of flow of increased charges, pressure on things like insurance and child minding, as people allude to here, not having the kind of cushion of a permanent role to fall back on. All of those things definitely play into the equation. So, as you say, there's freelancing by circumstance and there's freelancing by choice. And people who have made the choice to go freelancing usually know that there's as much pitfalls as there are kind of benefits attached to taking the freelance route. And we're here to help insofar as we possibly can. One of the things that we decided to include in the survey this year was based on our experience of listening to some people in the UK and the States. The growth of things like free work, where a lot of freelancers now feel that they're under pressure from certain clients or certain agencies, even people that they've dealt with before, to do work for free. So we just decided to get some sort of measure on that. And some of this is driven by, as a subtle pressure, or maybe not so subtle pressure, from clients to say, look, will you do this for free, or will you do this extra work for free? And it might be on the basis of it gives you more exposure, or the promise of more exposure, or gives you more experience, or else we have a really prestigious brand and wouldn't it be great to be part of your portfolio? All that is, there's a range of reasons involved here. But what we've been told is that 60% of you, that's a very, very large number, have done unpaid work for clients or prospective clients in the past year. That is higher in the UK, it's higher in the States. So I don't know whether it's the nature of the Irish market where people go, "I'll go on, just reduce your rate or do it for free." But we're not saying don't do it, because everybody has to judge it on their own individual circumstances. But there's definitely a campaign within the freelance sector around no work for free. Every piece of work should have a value attached to it. Whether you choose to charge that in the end to a client is really up to you. But our advice is put a value on everything that you do, and particularly free work. Tread really cautiously in that particular area. I don't want to finish on a negative note in this particular part of the presentation, because generally people are still very, very positive in relation to their outlook for 2023. 74%, as it says here, favor or say that the climate favors the freelance model. And when you look at some of the other statements, again, they kind of all endorse that. I think clients will hire more freelancers. There's going to be a rising, there is a rise in corporate layoffs, and that will be good for freelancers in theory. And then the other thing, that people's expectation that freelancer payments will improve in 2023. Certainly our experience over the last couple of weeks is that there's definitely a pressure coming from clients around freelancer payments. So we hope that the 52% is correct. But look, people are looking for value, and value isn't necessarily all about kind of the lowest price. But I think most people who are working freelance for some time know that. But again, tread cautiously is, I suppose, the word that we would use here. Again, positive vibes generally. I think the market sentiment still looks good at the moment. There's a slight slowing down, but clients don't seem overly concerned. Was one piece of feedback. And just bits of advice that freelancers are willing to offer. Proactivity is critical. And look, we say that all the time. You really have to have your game face on when you're pitching, as everybody knows, for new pieces of work. And finding that regular piece of work or regular contract with clients is really, as it says there, the holy grail. So where do freelancers need help? Again, what we've tried to do is kind of structure any added value services that we're looking at or have been trying to do over the past year to help people who are part of our community. And that's what we're trying to do and will continue to do for the rest of 2023. So we ask people where they need help. And first of all, we ask them, what are the kind of key or core challenges that people face? Primary one, and it's been the same for the last 2-3 years, is client acquisition. How can I get more business? How can I get more jobs? How can I find new clients? And then it's followed by all of these other things of work-life balance. Help me to kind of manage, where work fits in as part of my life rather than the other way around. Help me to get paid on time, or tell me tricks to help to get paid on time. Staying motivated, how to market myself and build a personal brand. And this one comes up all of the time. In fact, it's the single biggest thing that people need additional help on and want us to try and help them on, and that's accounting and tax affairs. And then further down the track, project and time management. So a follow on from this was, tell us the areas that you need practical help on. And when we gather them together in this word cloud, financial management is the single biggest thing. We're all individually really good at what we do to sell ourselves to clients and the services that we sell ourselves on. But by and large, and I think Una and myself more than happily admit it, we're not great when it comes to things like tax management or personal finance and so on. We've got better at it, and I think a lot of other people have as well. But you never know enough in this particular area because it's not our core skill. So the focus that we try to double down on and will continue to double down on for 2023 are in these particular areas. Finance and taxation, we'll probably do our next session on that and invite back the people from Contracting Plus. Pricing and charging, again, constant requests for people to advise or help them on that. New business development. And then this whole area of things like digital skills, new packages or software packages that people are presented with, particularly in the design area. We don't know enough about those particular packages, so we need advice from you guys as to what you need. And then the whole area of social media management, either working in it or helping clients with it or understanding it per se, are again all of the kind of key areas that people are saying on a regular basis they need help with. I just want to put up this chart. This doesn't come from our own survey. It comes from Coursera. They're the big provider globally of independent courses for people to upskill. And they've just produced this list of the fastest growing skills. Now, they just happen to be digital skills. And I've highlighted the ones that are probably more related to the marketing and marketing services area. So e-commerce, user experience design, and search engine optimization are the ones that come closest to the types of skills that we tend to offer through the indie lists. But the more important one is the fastest growing human skills. And these are all individual courses that Coursera, and there's so many other people who provide them. But if you pick out a couple of them, things like storytelling, influencing, collaboration, communication, planning, they're not unique to the tech industry or that particular part of the world. They are universal across no matter what discipline you operate within. People's ability to collaborate and communicate and influence clients is really, really key, particularly when it comes to freelancing. And there's a great piece of a great opinion piece that John Younger, who we have a great relationship with, who writes for Forbes every second week on the whole freelance sector. This was his observation in relation to the Coursera work. He said the fastest growing skills might be digital skills, but remember, experts win the project for their technical skill and reputation, but keep it and grow the work on the quality of their working relationships. And that's where the softer skills really, really come in. And, while we constantly bang the drum about people upskilling, we can't recommend enough for people to kind of try and perfect that kind of collaboration bit, the communication bit with clients, and just also being able to work with clients as closely as you possibly can, because that will lead to more work, we believe, in almost every case. Views on the indie list, because look, it's always good to get a feedback from our base in terms of how we're doing. We're not going to say we're great. We know there are certain things that we're doing pretty well. The positive things that we've got certainly feedback on, people saying that the model works great, and we vet the clients. We do vet the clients. There's clients that we've turned away. There's some that we wish we've turned away literally in the last fortnight, but anyway, we'll manage them as best we can and manage the freelancers who are working with them. The lunch and learn sessions, obviously sessions like this, we do actually record them and we put them up on both our website, but also on the YouTube channel. And also this thing about commission. So we floated the notion last time around subscriptions versus commission. People said that they would pay a subscription. We don't believe that people will. So what we've decided to do, and you will have seen a piece of communication from us on it, is that for any new work that we generate for people through the indie list, we will levy a 5% commission. And really it's to help fund the services that we're trying to provide over the course of 2023. We're just not getting enough funding, and we can't get enough funding externally to do the things that we want to do on your behalf. So, and I think it has been great. The feedback that we've got on the back of this has been really positive. Everybody's saying that's a really fair way of doing it, rather than necessarily go the subscription route. So we are very grateful for that. We know there's much more that we can do and want to do. The point down here on the bottom left, it would be great if the indie list could leverage its cloud to yield a discount on anything from new Macs to accountancy software. It's something that we're looking at. We're talking to 3 different companies at the moment, that if we manage to hold them off, hopefully there will be some really attractive packages for people, both in the training area, but also in the software, hardware area as well. Like more support from clients on late payments. We can only do this in the case of jobs clearly that work through the indie list. We stipulate with clients that they need to pay within 14 days. Not everybody does that. Most people pay within 30. We will pay our freelancers as quickly as we get paid, usually within 48 hours, but sometimes it can take 3 or 4 days to get to it. But as far as we can, we're very much, again, beating the drum around people need to be paid on time, and we will help you as far as we possibly can to make sure that you do that, or get that at least. Frustration. We know people have frustration. Look, we've 1,200 members. We keep saying we don't have jobs at any one time for 1,200 people. We will do our best to help people that we can, but we're totally at the mercy of clients and the briefs that they provide us with. If you haven't put your profile up in the correct way or given us enough information, that's definitely going to reduce your chances of us finding you within the 1,200, but also being able to put you forward with confidence for particular clients. So again, every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, Amanda, who I think is on the call, runs an onboarding session to help people to improve their profiles. And believe me, it's definitely worth doing, because anybody who's gone on that, I think, have found a much better way in which they can present themselves to clients. Feedback is one that we've taken on board. We've already implemented this. And that was on us. We needed to let people know when clients had picked somebody else for the work. And it was just, to be honest, we were just overladen with work that we weren't getting back to people on time. So we've done that as a matter of course now. So if we're putting 2 or 3 people forward for a job and 2 of them are not getting to work, we'll let you know. And as far as we can tell, we'll also tell you the reasons why you're not getting to work as well. So that's kind of it in terms of the bones of the research, if you like. There's a lot more detail, but look, for the purposes of today, we'll kind of focus on those top line ones. Let me just talk about the year ahead. What we've tried to do based on our conversations with clients, based on what we see in the market at the moment, based on the skills that we're seeing generally in demand, what we've tried to arrive at is what we believe are the freelance roles that are likely to be in high demand in the year ahead. And we've bracketed them under these 4 headings. So if we take strategy, a combination of brand and communications planners constantly in demand is what we've seen in 2022, but we also believe it will be the case. There are not enough of them around within the agency landscape, and it doesn't matter whether it's ad agencies, media agencies, digital agencies, you name it, they need more comms planners who can come in, work on new business pitches or existing client work, and particularly at that kind of smaller to medium-sized agency. Marketing strategists, again, not enough clients have that capability internally themselves. And I hope a lot of you who are on the call are probably experiencing this. That's where you're getting hopefully really decent work, is that people who don't have the wherewithal to hire on a permanent basis need to pull in people that are really experienced and have the know-how, particularly around digital strategy. Content strategists, and then things like search and social planners as well. Again, regular need for both of those. Client service, right through 2022, continue to hear it in the first month of this year, at a mid-ranking level, particularly within agencies, client service leads, project managers to manage on the client side, particular bodies of work that need to be done. And then on the media owner side, particularly business development managers, people who can sell, but still understand the product that is being sold by media owners or whatever. We constantly get media owners coming to us saying, have you anybody who can help us to sell the propositions or products that we have? The areas of creativity, again, throughout the last 12 months, specialist B2B writers constantly in demand, copywriters for advertising and other things, digital designers, and art directors as well are areas. The area of creativity is interesting. I know Una might want to come in here, but what we're hearing more and more, and particularly from ad agencies, is that there has been a contraction in the spend by clients on pure advertising, on advertising creativity. And a lot more of that spend is going on other content creation. I know it's kind of a loose term, but what we're seeing is that money is being diverted, or more money is going into those areas than it was into advertising. So people who are only focused on advertising creativity really would say is that you need to look beyond that. Your skill set maybe needs to change, or you need to upskill, but don't depend on advertising creativity as being your only source of business for the next year. If you are, you'll see that number reduce. And that's really a word of warning that we'd say. And then content creation. So social video creators, so whether it's for TikTok or Reels or Shorts on YouTube, web designers, constant demand. And then within that, UX and UI, and then content writers again for long form copy, white papers and so on. And all of them are underpinned with digital skills. I know it's a cliche at this stage, but look, this is not going away anytime soon. All of those each of those individual job titles, if you like, are all underpinned with a necessity to know your way around the digital landscape. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a black belt, but it means that you need to have a really good understanding as to what clients are facing, but also what agencies are facing as well.